A lot of these movies, folks, are brought out by the Masons. And what they will do is, just like the X-Files, the producers were from the Masons, were Mason, they'll feed info. They'll give you info, but they'll mask it in just Hollywood theater and entertainment. So you just have to look at it, look at everything you're watching and saying, okay, what are they telling us in this one? What info are they giving us this time? That's usually the kind of attitude I take when I sit and watch different types of movies, looking at what kind of info they're trying to give out. Question from a reader. About Princess Diana would have been a religious cult built around her. Anything else? Oh, the pointed ear thing. The whole the Vulcans. Yeah, that's a whole alien race. I was just reading, somebody else was a part of that. One of them, the Vulcans. There is a Vulcan base over by Fort Campbell, actually, at the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. There's an underground alien Vulcan base there. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Just one of those for your information things, I guess. But they're everywhere, folks, these underground bases. And basically what the Lord had been telling me is that by the end of July, He's going to start cranking up the orgone that we have planted all around this nation and this world, and He's going to start magnifying it. And so we're going to start seeing a lot of panic at this time because they've lost control of a lot of their bases here. They've lost control of the jet stream. And they, I get these emails from people, why can't you and Don Croft get along and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? They have to be total idiots. Because we're not of the same seed. I make positive orgone straight from the Lord Himself. And you can see instant results with the orgone we make. You look at the orgone Don Croft makes, and it kills animals. It makes children sick. And look at the state of California, one of the most heavily chemtrailed areas in the country. If his orgone was any good, it would be destroying those chemtrails, not feeding into them. And that's what his orgone does. It feeds into evil because it is evil. And so certainly why we can't get along is because we're not of the same stripes. I follow the Most High. The orgone I make is certainly not anything compared to Don Croft's. And so you do have two totally different orgone groups online. And I don't know how many times I'll get emails from people asking me something about some pagan thing that he makes on one of his sites or one of his followers makes. And you know what, folks, I have the directions on my website at orgoneblasters.com, and you can make our orgone and buy his and see for yourselves the difference. Because if his orgone was doing a hoot of good, California wouldn't be having a chemtrail problem. He's been putting orgone out longer than I have. And the states I've gone through and the areas I've gone through no longer have a chemtrail problem. And that's why you're going to start seeing some massive panic on behalf of our government by the end of July that the Lord has told me about, because they are losing control. And so what they will try to do is increase dead orgone energy into the air. And they do this by bomb attacks, nuke attacks, fires. It's even funnier when they try to use strong winds to blow it out of the country, because they're basically just blowing it around the world at that point, which helps us. You can't blow orgone out. Orgone is a constant, automated energy, and it doesn't stop. It never stops. Once you put orgone somewhere, it's just constant energy. It never ends. And so that's what they're up against, and not necessarily even up to me or any of the people who have worked in this Faction 4 that I've called this group Faction 4 Orgone Warriors over the years. When the Lord starts to crank it up and chases them out of this country, we're going to start seeing a lot of massive attacks here and stuff, so they can try to retain control. One of the biggest laughs I've ever had is just watching prophecy come alive in the Bible, because Satan has worked for so long, since the 1800s, to make America his headquarters when he arrives here. That's why they've spent billions on underground bases. They've built these underground palaces and empires and cities underneath the ground, Satan making America his stronghold. But when he comes here, he won't be able to stay here because the Orkland's going to keep him out. So he's going to have to stay over in the Middle East. So if we've done nothing, at least we've forced Satan himself to stay out of our country. And so I would encourage all those in the Middle East to get busy if you don't want him in yours. But that's what's going to make him all the more angrier when they do arrive, and you're going to see an instant war on the saints. They're going to come after us for the Orgone. They're going to come after the Lord's people because the Lord's people themselves have the Lord's light in them, and they emit a positive energy alone, just being the Lord's people. And it's something that they can sense and they can feel and they can see, and it angers them. It's more of a spiritual aspect than a physical. It's something we can't see. I can't look at somebody and tell just by looking at them that they're one of the Lord's. Usually it takes, listening to them talk or whatever. But they can just look at you and know right away. And so there's some kind of spiritual connotation to that, and being one of the Lord's and them knowing who you are without you knowing that they know. And they've been able to accomplish a lot of things, even the human aspect of technology. I got an email this week that was very interesting from somebody. I'm going to perhaps bring it up next week and talk. I have to dig through my emails and find it again. I read it once, and then it was, I just thought, I went on to the next day or whatever, and of course I got more emails on top of that one, so I had to go through and dig it out. But what this guy was saying, what the Lord had told him, and he showed me, I'd read these books of Adam and Eve. I read all those former books with a, a grain of salt. You don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But Adam had prophesied that his body would be found in the last days and that it would be plundered. And he was showing me in this email, telling me about how they had found the Ark of the Covenant in the 1980s in Mount Ararat in Turkey. And they had found his coffin in the Ark of the Covenant, and so had been plundering it, which means they had been performing autopsies on his body. And so they have the original Adam's body. You hear a thing about Eve, but they have Adam's. And so maybe they have found something in his DNA which would separate and indicate who a son of Adam is as compared to who a son of Cain is, who a son of Satan's is. There's got to be something there within the DNA. And I don't put it past them to be able to use some kind of heat signature high-tech weaponry itself that can also, once they know what to look for, that they can use their high technology, their black technology, most of it we don't even know exists. They can use that to pinpoint and target who the Lord's people are, because somehow they know. I'm hearing from everybody, folks, and I mean so many people that I've never even heard of before. Just so many, many, many people that are one part of the Lord's last days army, the 144,000, who are already suffering intense attacks from high-tech weapons. And I sat and listened to my show last week, and they're practically killing me with their heat wave attacks and their microwave weapons. And so many others describing electrical charges, like electrical tasing at their heads. It feels like their brains are being electrically charged. Just so many attacks, different attacks, and it's, for some reason they know who to target and where they are. And these people don't even know why they're being targeted until they start reading my articles and they start figuring things out, because the Lord leads them to my websites. And so just a lot of persecution going on, folks, which makes me think that something's coming up, something's coming to a head, because they're already targeting the Lord's people and trying to kill them, but they're just not getting anywhere with that part yet. They're tormenting and torturing them, but they're not being able to kill them yet. And so something's coming up. Satan's got something up his sleeve. I don't know if this is the July that